Okay, the filter. Now, the filter really gets to the heart of subtractive synthesis, because what we're doing with subtractive synthesis, the basic principle centers around the filter. What we're doing is we're creating a very rich sound with our oscillators, and then we're chipping away at it with filters or subtracting layers of it with filters to result in the sound that we actually want. So we're subtracting stuff out and ending up with a sound that we want to use. So the best example of how a filter works is your mouth. Imagine your vocal cords are the oscillators, the thing that are making sounds, and your mouth is actually shaping the way what frequencies are getting through of the filter of the sound from your vocal cords. So the filter is going to filter out certain frequencies. That's all. So the way our filter is set up here, now filters all look different. It's kind of a wide spectrum of just how they look. But the way this one is set up in Reason is we have our filter setting here, and this is at the bottom, we're looking at low frequencies. At the top, we're looking at high frequencies, more or less. Let's look at this resonance knob in a minute. So let's just look at this. So when this filter is all the way down, that means the filter is all the way closed, and we're going to be filtering out as much sounds as possible. So here's my sound, right? There's not much left. So I open up the filter, and we get more of those high frequencies as I open up the filter more. Right? Down here, there's not much of that buzziness. So I can kind of shape the sound this way. Now, the reason that we're pulling out the high frequencies as we pull it down is because we're set up over here that says LP12. LP means low pass, means we're letting low frequencies through and we're closing it on the high frequencies as we pull it down. We're letting less and less of the high frequencies in as it goes down here. Now we can flip that and change it to high pass, right? Now we have nothing but high stuff, and now we're going to let low stuff through as we go down. Right? So we're letting more stuff through as we pull it down now that we've flipped it to a high pass filter. Those are your two main friends in subtractive synthesis, is low pass and high pass. We have some other filter types. This low pass 24 is another low pass filter, but with a steeper cutoff. And what that means is that it's just going to be more blunt in the way it's pulling out sounds. Band pass is you can kind of think of it like a mid-range filter, even though it's not exactly, but it kind of works that way. And notch is the opposite of a band pass. It's going to pull out certain frequencies and move them like that. So let's now look at this resonance knob. What this resonance knob is going to do is it's going to give the filter a little boost right at the cutoff frequency. So the cutoff frequency is where this is set. So I'm back to a low pass filter. Let's pull resonance all the way out and just hear it. Okay, so there's my sound. Now if I want to emphasize this frequency right where it starts to pull stuff out, I would give it some resonance. So now remember here, resonance is not a function of frequency. We're not doing really anything to the frequency here. This is controlling the amount of boost of that, right? So this is the cutoff. This knob, this resonance knob, is going to push how much of this cutoff frequency we're going to boost right at the cutoff frequency. Now, why would we want to do that? Why would we want to boost it right at the point where we're starting to filter it out? The reason is it sounds kind of cool. So here it is with a little bit of resonance. You get that little laser gun sound. So now I have tons of it, right? Now I have none of it. Now check this out. So here I'm going to give it a lot of it. Now I'm going to adjust the filter. Right? So when I adjust the resonance, the pitch doesn't change of the resonance. I just hear more or less of it. But when I adjust the filter, I start to hear that pitch moving around, right? Because the cutoff frequency is what is the actual pitch that the resonance is doing. Does that make sense? So let me do this one more time. So this is the cutoff frequency. This, the resonance or resonance boosts the cutoff frequency. So this just says how much to boost it. This doesn't change the pitch. When I change this, then the boosted pitch changes because the cutoff frequency is changing. This is just boosting the cutoff frequency. So it makes that cool kind of laser gun sound that we like sometimes. So you've probably heard that sound before. That's how we do it. We adjust the filter with a good amount of resonance on it. Now in Reason, I've got two filters. My filter 2 is off. If I turn it on, I've got a second filter with the same parameters, frequency, which is the cutoff frequency in this case, and the resonance. So I can do two separate filters, or I can link them together with this button, and this is a button you see sometimes in a lot of different synthesizers, some kind of link button on multiple filters. And what that does is it makes filter 2 tied to filter 1. So it's always a percentage away from where filter 1 is. So if I do something like this, it's going to make filter 1 kind of a hyper filter. So let's give this more resonance. And now we're just going crazy with it. So it makes filter 2 tied to filter 1. Let's turn that off, and let's turn filter 2 off for now also while we move on. So that's the main guts of our filter. Remember, frequency and resonance. You'll find that in any synthesizer anywhere. Frequency and resonance in your filter. If you're doing subtractive synthesis, you have to have a filter. And in any kind of synthesis, you're going to have filters. At least one, probably more than one in most synthesizers that you work with. All right, let's move on to talk about envelopes.